On the second day of school, we welcome the distinguished principal of St. John's College, Mr. Quinn McCartney. Welcome to Access Now.
Good to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
So I know there's been some discussion in the past about needing more male teachers and male principals. How do you feel weighing in on the need for more gender balance in educators and the importance of having these male figures?
I think it's a step in the right direction. As you know, the majority of our teachers are female, and they're doing a fantastic job, and they play a critical role in our educational system. But I think because there's so many young men in our schools, and from primary right up to high school, I think it's good to have some males around so that they can see some examples of good male role models. Unfortunately, a lot of our homes are single-parent homes where the female is a strong presence in the home and relatives and friends. And so I think it's important to have some males as well to show that we can be part of the educational system and contribute to the development of our young men and young ladies, actually.
Amazing. Now, I know in the past you were a very high-ranking policeman who was very used to law and order.
Right.
Now, making that shift from law and order to education and being a principal, how has that been, having to switch to being around children all day?
So it's been pretty exciting. It's a difference from, I spent 32 years on the Royal Bahamas Police Force, a career I thoroughly enjoyed. But I transitioned slowly into education. My desire was always to be a teacher, but the Royal Bahamas Police Force called me before the Ministry of Education many years ago. And so being in the education department now, in the education field, is certainly an exciting time for me. And, I have to realize that I'm not running the police force, I'm not part of the police force, but discipline is still important in our schools. And so we have to, and so my thing is to try and lead by example and to try and speak to our young men and women as much as possible and to tell them how important it is to be disciplined, to obey rules and follow what we're trying to instill in them every day.
Now, you say you wanted to be a teacher even before you became a policeman.
Yeah.
What was it that originally inspired you to want to be a teacher?
I think my mother was a teacher, and my her good cousin, Thelma Ford, Leonie McCartney was my mother, Thelma Ford was a cousin, and they were all, and quite a number of her friends were educators, and so just watching them and seeing them around, I said, this seems to be an interesting career. Hearing them talk and preparing for the new school opening was always an exciting time, and so that kind of inspired me, and I thought it would be good. I did science as my profession. I'm a chemist by profession. And so I felt it would be good to have a male chemistry teacher, Bahamian, in the school system. Yes. And so I went off on a Ministry of Education scholarship. But like you say, my obligation was to come back and work for the government of the Bahamas. But the police force enticed me with their forensic lab. And so I ended up as a police officer working in forensics for a significant portion of my career.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, shifting back to St. John's, is there anything new and exciting in your curriculum this year?
So we started this year off exciting. We are working under the theme of lead, soar, and serve, and we're trying to get our young people to lead and be leaders in no matter what area they're working in the school. We want them to soar at greater heights, so if they had a good GPA last year, we want them to try and add a few more points on even this year, and then we want them to serve, to give back to their community, to give back to their classmates, to give back to the community of St. John's College in particular. And so nothing is significantly new. We continue with our curriculum. We're continuing to build on the legacy that has been part of St. John's tradition from 1947. We had a very exciting year last year in terms of academics, in terms of athletics, and in a number of areas. And so we just want to continue that great tradition that St. John's is known for and to do even greater things this year.
Amazing. So tell us, this is a big question we've been asking everyone, how have the first 2 days of school been?
So the first 2 days were not bad. Unfortunately, the school wasn't as prepared as we would have liked. There were some delays in completing some of our projects, some of our renovation work. But I think by and large, our teachers did exceptionally well in preparing the school for opening. Our groundsmen did their part, our janitresses, our ancillary staff also did a good job. And our team came excited and prepared. They had lots of rest and relaxation over the summer holidays, but the last week preparing before the students came. They were ready for them when they came in, all 1,124 of them when they came in on Monday morning.
Wow.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a big population.
Well, Principal McCartney, it has been a pleasure hosting you tonight. All the best with your new school year, and we hope to have you back soon. Or
Thank you very much.
Some students when they're up to something.
Oh, definitely, definitely. That would be great. I want them to get as much exposure as possible.
Amazing.